Chamber of Commerce. I get a chance to work with this great staff and bring some great programs to you. So welcome and thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ed. And then let's see, next up, Carrie.
Hi, everyone. Those that don't know me, I'm Carrie Warner with the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president here. And I'm really glad that you all are here to join us. I'm excited to hear what John has to talk about. And thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carrie. And then let's see, I have John Joshua.
Yeah, this is John Joshua. I'm Executive Director of Sourcing and Contract Management at MD Anderson. Very glad to be here with everyone today. This is kind of like coming home to me. I ran my own business for 6 years back in the early 90s, based out of San Antonio, Texas. And I was also treasurer of the Alamo City Chamber of Commerce there in San Antonio. So I feel at home amongst you guys today, and thank you for inviting me out.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being able to present for us today. And yes, you are most welcome here, and make yourself at home on our webinar platform, I guess. Next, I have Laura De La Rosa.
Good morning, everyone. Laura De La Rosa, MD Anderson Cancer Center. I am on our community relations team, and we're very happy to be here this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Laura. Next, I have Dale Gibble.
Hello, I'm Dale Gibble. I'm president of Primary Computer Service for 37 years. We help people with their computer systems, upgrades, installs, and maintenance of their systems, and security cameras and burglar alarms as well. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Dale. And next, I have Jerry Cooper.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jerry Cooper. I run a company called CDC Graded Services, and we are a conflict solutions company. We operate inside companies and organizations to help them understand why their processes have broken down and why conflict has grown intractable for a variety of reasons. So we help resolve conflict inside companies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry. And next, I have Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan with Infinity Marketing. We're a digital marketing specialist located in the Gallery area in Houston, and we like to generate leads. So if you need leads, you can come to me.
Oh, yeah. Everyone needs leads, right? Okay. And then next we have Worley Barker, but it looks like he's calling in from his cell phone in just a minute. He is with Texas Capital Bank, Small Business Lending. So his information here is in the chat section if everyone would like to reach out. And then we'll just wait for a few more guests to show up. We are live on YouTube, so careful what you say, okay, Ed? I'm just kidding. But yeah, feel free to unmute yourself. You can talk amongst yourselves. We'll get started here shortly around 11:45, and Ed will introduce us to our speaker today, who you already met a little bit, John Joshua, and kind of lead us into what this program is going to be about. So we'll just wait for a few more minutes and yeah. Anyone have plans for this weekend?
Not this weekend, but next weekend, yes.
The sun, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, well, next weekend is Memorial Day weekend.
But Laura, I promise not after yesterday's webinar on skin cancer.
I was going to say, wear your sunscreen. Wear your sunscreen.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job, Carrie. Keep it up.
I won't just do one time either, because then I'll go,
No, you have to reapply several times a day if you're going to be out in the sun. Text me if you have any questions.
Oh, thank you. I always have everyone yelling at me, Carrie, put on sunblock. No, but I got to get the tan.
I get tan even with sunblock on.
Yeah, you do, but I'm not even supposed to do that apparently.
Oh.
Once you change color and you turn tan, then you've already done damage. So I'm like, whoa.
Oh.
Everyone, it was a really good webinar. Let me find it on YouTube here and I'll put it in the chat section because summer it's here. It's hot outside, it's sunny, the UV rays, they're unforgivable right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. And I learned what all those funny looking moles look like. It was quite interesting. Okay, so let's see. Copy.
Yeah, that's always scary.
Oh. There you go. Yeah, so what are everyone's Memorial Day plans? Anyone doing anything fun? Any backyard barbecues? Nothing?
No, well, we've been invited by our daughter and son-in-law to their house for a backyard barbecue.
Oh, great. Well, that'll be fun.
So I get to sit on their brand new patio and their brand new patio furniture and watch the kids go crazy in the splash pool.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'll have a beer in my hand and I'll wave at them from the shade.
Oh, great.
I'm going to Cabo, it looks like. I don't even know that. Hey, Cabo Wobble, baby.
Let me see here.
Well, my favorite place in Mexico is Mazatlan.
Where's that at?
Mazatlan is on the western coast, further south. It's about 300 miles north of Hermosillo. I mean, 300 miles north of Acapulco, and about 120 miles north of Ensenada. I mean, hang on just a minute. All of a sudden, I've forgotten the name. Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, okay. You had to fly into Puerto Vallarta to go there?
No, you fly directly into Mazatlan.
Oh, Mazatlan, okay. I didn't know that. There it is. I will look into it. I love Mexico. We go to every part of it.
Have you been to Holbox?
Mm-mm.
So I went, I guess in 2018, you have to take a little ferry to get there, but there's no cars. It's just kind of a beach resort. Really, really nice. Holbox. Hobax.
Yeah, yeah, I see it right here. IL Hobart.
That's it, Holbox.
Yeah,
Very cool place.
during the pandemic, went to Tulum like twice.
Ooh.
That was fun. It's very bohemian chic, I guess you can say.
I like Holbox. Yeah.
Well, my favorite place is not on the coast. It's actually San Luis Potosí. It's in the interior.
Yeah, Hobart right next to Cancun.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Well, if you're going to go to the Yucatan Peninsula, you have to go to Merida as well.
Okay, one sec, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just mute myself. Apparently, I sent out the link just now and it sent out the wrong link. So I don't know how that happened, but I'm gonna try and fix that really quick, but you guys go ahead, carry on.
I just sent the link as well, Deb.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Elvira. Sorry about that, Ken. I don't know how it sent out the wrong link.
I'm not sure either, but I'm just glad that you were responsive and paying attention and caught it, because I was like, I tried the first one that I registered and it took me to an event in like May or April. And this one took me to a skin cancer one. I'm like, all right, something's not going on.
That was yesterday.
I don't know how
that
it got
happened.
mixed up with that link because it doesn't show on my. I don't know. The internet is funky sometimes, right?
Yeah, there are little gremlins out there that try to get in our way sometimes, but you know, fortunately, that's why we communicate things and we figure things out, and we.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, we have Ken and Elvira. You guys go ahead. Feel free to introduce yourselves and then put your contact information in the chat. And we're going to get started in just a second.
Okay.
Oh, there's Karina.
Hope y'all are doing good.
Oh, and then she just fades off into the distance.
That's what you get.
Go ahead, Ken. We're sorry about that.
All right, no problem. Yeah, so my name is Ken Smith, and I own a company called Bel Air Leadership, and I help people. If you've ever worked for one of those bosses that you don't want to work for, well, I help people become the boss that you want to work for, the kind that inspires you, the kind that you enjoy working for, and the kind that really inspires you to do your best and to give your best and really elevates the organization. So I believe in helping people become inspirational leaders, and I use the experience that I've had from my time in the military and the time in the oil and gas world to really help individuals that want to believe that leadership is a verb, not a noun. And I like helping you learn how to lead better and how to behave differently.
All leaders should be like that. Absolutely.
Hey, Ken, tell everybody how you got the name of your company.
Oh, nice one, Jerry. Thanks for asking that. So the name of my company is named after my first car that I ever owned, a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. Still own it to this day, and it's in my garage. Still trying to get it to run a little bit better right now, but at 65 years old, it's about ready to qualify for Social Security. So that's how I named my company. Is Bel Air Leadership, is after my first car.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ken. And next we have Elvira Schaefer. You can kind of see a little bit of what she does by the background of that gorgeous looking cake, that yummy looking cake right behind her. So Elvira, go ahead, introduce yourself, and then we're going to get started.
Hi, I'm Elvira Schaefer. I'm the owner of Roland Swiss Pastry, which is in business since 1962. We deliver fresh baked goods to the chamber sometimes, but mostly to hotels, restaurants, caterers, Minute Maid Park, Energy, and Georgia Brown on a daily basis. But we also deliver breakfast items and lunches to offices if you ever have the need. My name is Elvira Schaefer with Roland Swiss Pastry. Thank you very much for putting on the event. I'm really excited to learn something new today.
Thank you so much, Elvira. All right, guys. Well, it is about that time. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask everyone to please mute themselves at this time. And I'm going to give the reins over to Mr. Ed Ryland over here, chairman of the board. So go ahead, Ed.
All right. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you so very much for participating. You know how busy everyone is these days, right? We're excited to have you here today, and particularly want to thank Joshua, John Joshua, and also Laura with MD Anderson for making this possible. We know you guys are juggling a lot of different things, so we thank you for that. Basically, I just want to highlight two things that we're focusing on this year. And some of you guys may have heard that before, but members first and how to do business with, right? We know that the small business community is challenged, particularly during these very difficult times. And when John was talking earlier about him being a small business himself, I mean, my ears perked up because I know he understands the challenge and the struggle of a small business owner. And so does the chamber. And that's why this year, everything that we're doing, we're running it through this members first filter. How does it impact the members and how does it help the members? So if you have ideas about how we can do that, I'm sure our staff will be excited about getting that information from you. Then the second thing is 68% of our members are small business, but many of those small business owners have not had the opportunity to understand how to do business with larger organizations like an MD Anderson. And so this year, our focus on this series of how to do business with is to break down that mystery and that fear and that concern about how do I get started with doing business with some of these large organizations. So we're excited about bringing forth the series of how to do business with. And there are a number of others that are planned for this year. And Devin and Carrie can share more about those series, but we're excited about that. So thank you guys for joining us today. If you're not a member already, become a member. If you are a member, get involved, and let's make 2021 the best year we've had. Thank you guys again.
Wow, thank you, Ed. I don't think I could have said that any better. So I just want to lead us into some housekeeping rules today before I give over the reins to John Joshua. For the duration of this program, all guests will be muted. If you have any questions at any point of the program, go ahead and put them in the chat section, and we'll get to them around the last 15 minutes of the program. Around 12:45, we'll have a little Q&A moderated by Ed Rylan over here. And then don't forget to put all your contact information in the chat section. That way we can, touch base and follow up with each other after this. And then let's see, today's call will end on or before 1 p.m. because we want to respect everyone's time. We know we all have lots of plans today. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Joshua. Please take it away.
All right, thank you, Devin. I'm going to share my screen here. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the invite. Devin, Lauren, everybody who was involved in setting this up. As I mentioned to a few that was on the call early today, yes, I am a former business owner. Back in the early 90s, I started a company in San Antonio. We provided what was called luggage cart management services to airports across the country. So when you travel in an airport and you see these carts that you can rent for a few bucks to put your luggage on, take to your car, take to the curb, a self-service type of a program. I grew that from 1 to 17 airports across the country. I was one of 3 companies that provided that service to all airports in the U.S. That also led my company to get into airport advertising. So all available space, whether it's on the wall, whether it's on the floor, in the air, it's all for sale in an airport environment. And we had 2 airports, the Austin Airport, San Antonio Airport, where we sold advertising space to local and national companies to advertise their services. So, looking at things from your perspective and understanding the difficulty sometimes of being a very, very small fish in a very, very large ocean, I've been there. So when it comes to small businesses, even more so what we call hub, historical underutilized businesses, I have a passion for taking time, making time to develop relationships with businesses to see how can I help them move forward, and more so how MD Anderson can become more of a community citizen to understand the needs of our small and diverse businesses. I want to say before I get into some of the technical aspects of the presentation, I think this stuff is very important for you all to know some of the details as to how we're structured, what rules of engagement we have and things of that nature. But I do believe you'll get the most from this presentation during the Q&A session. That's where you can ask me whatever you want. I'll do my best to provide the answer. If I cannot provide the answer, you'll expressly get back an answer as soon as I can. But I do want to thank you all for inviting me again and also giving me your time. So I have to start with a couple of housekeeping items to make sure that everybody knows what MD Anderson's mission is, and it's to eliminate cancer in Texas, throughout the nation and the world, through outstanding programs that integrate patient care, research, and prevention. Through education, we have an undergraduate and graduate programs. We teach doctors as well, trainees, professionals, employees, and the public. And all 22,000 of us at MD Anderson are very passionate about our mission, and we want people to know it. We're also honored to be the #1 cancer care hospital in the country for the 13 out of the past 16 years, as ranked by U.S. News and World Report. We are a tobacco-free workplace as well, reinforcing our mission to support the cure to cancer. So I want to give you guys some insight into how our supply chain management, and that's the formal name of our department of supply chain management, how we're structured. There are 6 pillars or 6 areas of supply chain management. The bottom 2 red bullets are the ones where you're going to want to focus on when it comes to how do you do business with us. And a theme that I will say throughout this presentation, and for those of you that I may have conversation with afterwards, or my team or my peers, is a lot of doing business, providing you meet some basic qualifications to do business. A lot of it is about relationship building. It's about networking. It's about getting to know people, and it's about being persistent at that. Now, these are things that is not new to you all as business owners. I understand that. But sometimes coming into the environment of MD Anderson, we have to put that concept on steroids. And we're a very large organization, and we want to be more welcoming, more open. But I think, that is a basic approach, is something that will allow you to be hopefully successful or make progress over time. So we have an area of administrative and support services. That's the group that takes care of the technology that supports supply chain management. We have clinical resource management, which is the area that is responsible for working with our clinicians, our top researchers, to understand what their needs are and make sure they get the things that help treat our patients. Materials management, this is the area that is responsible for managing our logistics and supply distribution throughout our hospital and our ambulatory facilities. We have supply chain finance, which is the engine that we work closely with the institutional finance to understand and measure what we're buying, what we're paying. Are we getting good price? Are we getting best in class benchmarking against our peers? But the 2 most important to you is purchasing services and sourcing and contract management. As I'll show here in a follow-on slide, the way we break down our procurement is driven by dollar value. It's little known to many people that MD Anderson is a state of Texas agency. It's called the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. And as such, we're an agency of the state of Texas. And we have to follow procurement guidelines put in place by the Texas Education Code through the state legislature. So that's kind of the governing source, the governing body that governs our procurement rules, our procurement guidelines. They're very similar, if not the same in many areas, as any other institution of higher education across the state of Texas. And then the area that I manage, which is sourcing and contract management, we currently manage over 3,000 contracts. That drives about $1.7 billion a year in annual spend. So this is a very important slide here, and I'll spend some time on this because one of the ways to do business with us is not necessarily direct all the time. A lot of it can be driven by connecting with, getting contracts, establishing business relationship with group purchasing organizations, which we rely on heavily to manage our procurement needs. So purchases we have less than $15,000 requires no bid. Basically, a request comes in to our supply chain department purchasing services for less than $15,000. Our buying team, our buyers, will go through a protocol where they'll look at all suppliers registered in our database. They'll look at suppliers who have had a great track record of doing business with MD Anderson, and they will work with the requesting department to guide them to the best solution. Here again, this is where building relationships is important to understand if you're in a particular, and the buyers, I would say, are segmented by commodity area. So if you're providing a specific product or service, whether it's IT related, whether it's on the business services, purchase services side, there are buyers who have specialization in those areas. They do maintain relationships. They do get to know companies as well. But those go through, and they're just what we call an open market buy. Doesn't require any bidding, doesn't require any special rules of application, and we just buy from the source that's giving us the best price, the best value at that time. The next category is between $15,000 and roughly $50,000. It's what we call informal bid quotations. So if something is being purchased between these dollar values, we're required to get 3 quotes for that item. It is preferred that 2 of those quotes come from historically underutilized businesses. That's driven by UT System Administration rules of engagement and the legislation around historically underutilized businesses. And I'll get to that later in the program. And I really would like to know, in addition to being small businesses, which is a focus of ours, how many of you are certified registered state of Texas hubs as well? But in that $15,000 to $49,000 range, this is where we get informal quotations and make a selection as to who we purchase from. Here again, relationship building, whether it's with our buying team or even at our stakeholder level, where you may establish a relationship with someone in our IT department, someone in our marketing department, so that they can understand the services and programs you provide so that you can be identified as a potential source solution for what we buy. Then we move into what's called a formal bid category, which is any purchase above $50,000 requires a formal bid. Or we can use what's called an approved group purchasing organization, or GPO. And there are other procurement justifications that we can use, but imagine we're managing 3,000 contracts. We need help. I have a team of about 40 individuals responsible for managing 3,000 contracts. And the way we get that done is we partner through approved group purchasing organizations. Some I put on the screen here. These are not all, but these are kind of the 4 largest that we do business with. We have one that's called the University of Texas System Supply Chain Alliance. This is an organization that goes out and sources goods and services on behalf of all 14 University of Texas System institutions. We have 8 academic institutions, and we have 6 health institutions. And this particular group source for us. And here's where you get a lot of your basic commodities, whether it's contingent worker services, office supplies, purchase of computers, copiers, certain product services, equipment. A lot goes through the UT System Supply Chain Alliance. So very similarly, these same bid thresholds, these same bid categorizations, they manage, and then we utilize their contracts. The Texas Department of Information Resources, DIR as it's commonly known, is a state of Texas owned group purchasing organization, if you will. They're conducting bid processes all the time. but their primary focus is around information technology, related equipment and services. And it's pretty broad. It's very broad in some cases where they do what's called all award contracts, meaning most qualified suppliers who bid on those contracts and meet the minimum qualifications get put on contract with DIR, which allows us to be able to review their list of contracts to find suppliers that best match our needs. The two companies in the middle, Premier and Vizion, they are specific to healthcare, but they have contracts that cover the entire spectrum. I'll show you some categories coming up here of the prime areas where we have ongoing contracting opportunities. They have contracts in these areas. They also have small business programs. They have diversity programs. We work with them. We challenge them. All of these organizations to have robust small business and hub programs so that we can be great community citizens as we try to manage our needs. And I don't know, Ed, did you want to have questions, or you want me to go through and then we will do questions? I'm not monitoring the chat right now, but let me just continue.
I would go through your presentation to make sure that you have enough time to go through that, and then we'll do questions in the end.
Okay, all right, sounds great.
Good.
So this particular slide is to help you understand what we call best value procurement. The Texas Education Code allows us to do business based on best value. And what best value means is we don't purchase based on price only. We very rarely, if at all, do any type of procurement in any arena where we're going strictly on price. It is taken into other considerations, addition to price, is the reputation of the vendor, quality of work, their history with us, their ability to comply, with laws and rules of our hub program, and kind of looking at things long term, and as I like to say, total cost of ownership base. What is our total cost for the good product or service over time? So we have an online system. All of our solicitation, bidding, RFP, RFX processes are conducted electronically. We moved away from the paper system years ago. So registering within our system to be considered or to be notified when an event is taking place, or when a buying opportunity comes about in those unrestricted and informal thresholds I mentioned. We use this database to understand who's available or who should be notified to potentially bid or be allowed to quote on a service or product that we have a requirement for. The registration site is here. It does require email address. We also stress that when suppliers sign up, make sure you have a generic email address for your business that's monitored continuously. Don't tie to any particular employee's name, as when they leave, the database doesn't get updated. We're unable to contact you. A little differently, we do follow generally the same NIGP commodity codes. So when you go and register in the system, you're going to have either that or something along the unspec classification. And we just encourage everybody to check all. Don't be over aggressive, but check those that you're truly providing services for, and that will allow you to be registered in the system, as I mentioned, for informal bids and formal bids. This is just a snapshot. If you go out to, if you do a Google search on MD Anderson bids, That'll land you on our bid portal, where you'll see current opportunities advertised. You'll be able to download a PDF to get a high-level overview of what the product or service is. And then if you're registered in a database, then it will allow you more detailed access to the event, including registration to bid and offer a RFP response for us to consider. The link for this website is shown at the bottom. It's also linked to the current bids and the registration website as well. So when I talk about tips for success and progress, and these are some general rules which you all are probably familiar with in terms of making sure your websites are kept current, respond to posted bid opportunities. One thing that I encourage suppliers to do, and we get a moderate response, but we don't get the response that I think we should, and that is when we put out some very, very large requirements. Let's just stick with IT as an example. And whether we're procuring equipment, whether we're procuring consulting services, we're procuring design of systems and things along that line, come to our pre-bid, pre-proposal meetings and conferences and network with perhaps some of the prime or larger companies. We try to put an enormous amount of expectations on suppliers to make sure that they're compliant with our rules and guidelines, but be good community citizens themselves and make sure that they partner, joint venture, or subcontract with small businesses. I think that's something that's very important. I think sometimes suppliers shy away from that, but I think it's a very good insight to get in and expand your network. And then, as I mentioned earlier, network, and continue to network. I'll give you an example. I spoke about a year ago, right before COVID, to the Houston Black Chamber, and it was a luncheon event, and we probably had, I don't know, maybe 150 people in attendance. And I spoke to a lot of people at that event, but there were only 2 businesses out of all those people that were there that followed up with me and my team after that event. And 2 of those businesses we work with and continue to work with today to make sure they're best positioned for business opportunities specific to the product and services that they're offering. So networking, contacting, communication. If you send an email, you don't get an answer, send it again. And if you don't get an answer again, pick up the phone. If you don't get a phone call, escalate it up the food chain. I think it's very important to be persistent, consistent, continuously, not just with us. This applies to any arena, but I think with us, it does help a lot to build that network. So when we look at what do we buy at MD Anderson, I mentioned earlier our current annual spend for supplies, equipment, and services about $1.7 billion. That's a huge number. But almost half of that, which is about $800 million of that, is the purchase of pharmaceutical drugs. And a lot of those are even specialty drugs specific to the treatment of cancer. But even in the cases where we don't have small businesses or pretty much any large businesses in the arena of pharmaceuticals manufacturing, we still challenge those suppliers to find creative ways to engage our local community, to support them in other business activities in their enterprise that they use to support MD Anderson. Capital construction is the second largest area. Right now, we have about $1.4 billion in capital construction plan over the next 24 months. That includes a new $600 million hospital, 600-bed, $600 million hospital. We have to staff that hospital with everything that it takes to make it operational. So there will be a lot of opportunities coming out of that, not just specific to the capital construction itself. If you have membership that are in the construction area that works with general contractors to build the shell, to build out the inside of the building, there's an enormous opportunity over the next 24 months for that. We've actually brought on an additional team of 6 individuals to work specifically with engaging the community over the next 24 months. Small businesses and historically underutilized businesses, specifically on our capital construction program. So please look out and expect more from us there. Obviously, medical surgical equipment and supplies and research equipment and supplies are the next top areas of spend for us. And then we come to IT equipment and services, and that covers a lot. There's probably not anything we do today that does not touch our network, from the smallest, lowest dollar piece of equipment that we might use to monitor a patient, all the way up to very highly sophisticated diagnostic and radiation oncology treatment equipment. Everything touches the network. IT is something that is constantly churning. A lot of challenges. We get over into the information security area. There's a lot going on there. That's a great area if you have IT related, and don't have any misconceptions of your business being too small or perhaps not being able to provide the level of service or large enough, or I just say jump in the pool, jump in the ocean, find out, look at it, and give feedback to individuals like myself, my team, those of others in supply chain management. And I will, in addition to this presentation, I'll give a detailed org chart that will include people's contact name, email addresses, and phone numbers that you can work with and contact to begin to help build these relationships. But the best thing you can do, if it works or it doesn't, is give us feedback. I need to hear from small businesses to know what are the current, today, most challenging barriers that you have that we could potentially help mitigate in order to be more successful or increase the opportunity for success. And then, of course, general business administrative products, purchase services, that covers a wide array of things that we buy. But these are some of the major categories kind of listed in an order of priority in terms of dollars that we spend. So the last thing I want to talk about is our Hub and Federal Small Business Program. So on the federal side, we don't focus more outside of any contracts we have with the federal government, such as the NIH, the National Institute for Health. We have contracts with them where we have to follow strict federal guidelines around businesses spend with small businesses. I would be interested. We are governed by the state of Texas. It's historically underutilized business program. It's a good faith effort program. I really would like to know what portion of your membership is a state certified hub. I want to make sure that you guys are also included in a separate communication, and it's posed for small businesses as well, and everyone on the call, to make sure that you're part of any special communications opportunities that we will communicate and provide to you throughout the year. But basically, the purpose of the Hub Federal Small Business Program is to have accountability. We do have a supplier mentoring program where we match small businesses, historically utilized businesses with larger prime companies in a 12-month program where we set some goals, identify what are the primary needs of your business, and we set goals around that. And you have a mentoring program where the prime work with the supplier on a continuous basis, month by month for the year, to provide capacity, increase capacity, and help to those businesses. And you know, the mentoring program is not so much designed to lead to business, but it is designed to position you much better to get business. And we've had subjects as part of the mentoring program relating to how do I better market my company? How do I provide succession planning if I'm getting ready to maybe retire, leave the company, and you want to pass the company on to family members or other? How do you do that better? It can cover a wide array of topics. What is your greatest need? And then in that process, there's a lot of capacity or relationships that come out of that that connects you with other sources as well. We do work in collaboration with all our sister institutions throughout the UT system. Outside of the group purchasing organization I mentioned in the beginning, the UT System Supply Chain Alliance, any contract that we have, any person we do business with, our sister institution, whether it's UT Medical Branch, UT Austin, UT Southwestern Medical Center, UT Health Science Center here in Houston, can do business with those same suppliers and mitigate any qualifications necessary to do business with. So that's my short spiel on all of the formalities. As I said in the beginning, I would hope probably gain the most from this conversation in our Q&A session. So Ed, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, John, thank you so much, man. That's really, really, really good information. And the fact that you, again, I go back to the fact that you understand the challenges of small business makes it even more valuable. So thank you for that. My first question would be, how do we contact you, right? And I know you don't want to get 1,000 calls. So what's the best way to be professional and not a pest, but obviously to have contact with you as we go through this process of
So you'll get my email and my direct phone number, and feel free to send me an email. And you know, that's why I have a good strong team, is to get you to a person depending on what your need is or what we're going to try to do to get you to an individual. But you'll have my contact information, my email, my direct phone number, and don't be bashful. If it takes me a few days, just shake your head and say, John is a busy guy. But trust me, it doesn't go into junk mail. It doesn't get ignored. You will get a response.
That's great.
And I'll guide you the right way.
I don't think we asked for any more than that. We do have a question. Is okay. There are some businesses that we want to kind of know, how do we get, who do we contact for those items, right? So Vera has a question about catering. Who would she contact for something like that, for catering?
Yeah. So I have a new person coming on board June 1st to lead our Hub and Federal Small Business Program. The previous individual retired December 31st after 26 years in that position. So what we're trying to do today, is to create an online portal, if you will, that lists pre-vetted suppliers. And if you're a hub supplier, meaning a state of Texas registered hub, there's that's how we're measured from the state of Texas. It will list it on that website. We don't have a good system today that exposes, say, from caterers, bakers, and things of that nature, where our internal constituency can go there and see who's providing what by category, engage them, purchase from them, because most all of those purchases are going to fall into the unrestricted or informal bid process, which doesn't require much. So that's a weak exposure for us now, Elvira. But we're working on that.
So John, could you talk a little bit about the HUB program? Who qualifies for that? Because I'm not sure that everyone on the line understand what that program is and how do they would qualify for the HUB program.
So it's ran by the State of Texas Comptroller's Office. They're the certifying agency, and they do some reciprocal certification. So for instance, if you're certified with the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council, HMSDC, your chance of getting certified by the state is very good. But typically the general definition is the business has to be owned by 51% by a minority, which would be Asian, Hispanic, Black, or woman-owned. And they also include disabled veterans in that. So if you meet those categories and your business is on 51%, you get certified. And once you get that certification, you do get prioritized for consideration when it comes to looking for opportunities to match you with procurement needs that we have. But I would go to the state comptroller site, look up the HOIP program. It'll give you more information. But if you're a minority, Indian was also included. Native American Indian is also included in that group. But if you're 51% on, you are qualified.
So that's a pretty significant portion of our membership too. You mentioned minorities, women, and veterans. We have a lot of those categories in our organization. So if you're listening to this call now and you're one of those, you want to get certified, that would be something that we want to encourage you to do. And then also he mentioned partnering. If you don't fall on those categories, maybe you can partner with someone in those categories and see what value you can bring to pursuing business as well. Another question was how does a person get help with the leadership development programs that MD Anderson has been building? If that's a service that I provide, where would I go to begin conversations with folks that procure that service?
Yeah. So when you say leadership development, you mean business leadership development, correct?
So Ken Smith has asked a question. So Ken, if you can unmute yourself and maybe give a little bit more detail on that, that would be great.
Yeah, so now what I'm talking about is, those the people that are maybe like the head of the nursing departments and the people that lead different departments within there. I know there's been a big push in the medical industry lately to recognize the value of leadership and what leadership brings to the healthcare industry. And I know that MD Anderson has kind of started some programs and they've got some different mentoring and different coaching programs and stuff that are going on. I've never quite been able to figure out, well, who's the person that's running that? Who's the person I need to contact? Who's the person that I need to meet and network with, as you were saying, to really understand how, or if I can get involved with that and how I can help.
Okay, now I better understand that. Thanks, Ken. So I could connect you directly with the lady who manages that program. So we have, don't quote me on the number, but I think we have about 30 certified coaching entities that we do business with. I myself was provided a coach through this program, and we do that for all of our executive leadership. When they come on, they get a 12-month engagement with a coach. So I can connect you directly Ken, with the lady who runs that program, and she managed all of the relationships for all of our executive coaches. She is not in the supply chain department. She's in the HR talent management area, but I can connect you with her.
Great.
Great.
What about other professional services like attorneys and architects and engineers and even commercial real estate people like myself? How would a person start pursuing where opportunities may be in those areas?
So if it's related to anything in a capital construction umbrella, and that can be architectural services, it could be subcontracting under general contracting for any type of commodity, specialty trade, etc. The place is to start with the hub team here. I did put Barbara Howard's number, and I'll put her email here. We have a team that's actively looking today to align these people, help vet them, in other words, communicate what the requirements are to be successful, and introduce them. We're going to be hosting a lot of forums coming up where we're trying to match small businesses with the A&Es, the architectural engineering firms, with the general contractors. We also have what's called a job order contract program as well. And what that does is we have 4 job order contracting firms which are designed to handle small projects, say less than $1 million. Somebody needs an office renovated or something like that. They have to meet the same requirements to go out and find small businesses and hubs themselves. And even if you're successful and you become a hub supplier to MD Anderson, the hub suppliers themselves are required to do the same. It's a constant feedback loop in terms of trying to develop and grow the capacity of hubs and small businesses. So we have a team. Barbara Howard leads it today. I have some additional person, as I mentioned, coming on June 1st. But there's a team of about 6 people there who would sit down, talk with you, understand what specialty or what special service area you provide, and they would work with that company to make sure that they get qualified and then get the exposure they need through our bid projects, capital projects.
Fantastic. The last question I have.
I was going to say something real estate there because I know that's where your specialty is. Real estate is slightly different. The University of Texas system does oversee very tightly real estate, but we do have an individual that manages our real estate at MD Anderson. I'll be glad to set a connection so you can at least get some direct exposure, if you will, and have a conversation to understand more what our needs are on the real estate side of the house. It's one of those areas where we sometimes do business indirectly through another contract, but you have opportunity to network and potentially be a subcontractor with that if you can't provide service directly yourself.
Great, thank you. So last question before I just turn it over to the rest of the group, and that is, what do you think some of the main challenges you have seen when it comes to small business wanting to do business with an organization like MD Anderson?
Well, it's we're big. We can be very intimidating to a small business because you don't know where to start. Who do you go to? It's not kind of like you can go to our website and identify right away, okay, this is where I need to go. We understand that. We're truly trying to work on that. I've been in my role here at Anderson, in the current role I'm in now, for about 20 months. So we're trying to do some transformative things to improve that. But we can be very intimidating. Our bid processes can be very cumbersome. It requires a lot. It requires a lot of detailed information. Sometimes it's more information than a small business is willing to provide or even have at times. So a lot of people just kind of throw up their hands and say, it's just too much. It's just too difficult. They're too big. And, in certain instances, that may be true, but in a lot of instances, it's not. And there are many ways to do business with us directly, and even more ways to do business with us sometimes indirectly. And people don't know that. And we got to do a better job educating the community, such as this forum here today, to let people know, here's your in, here's a person you can contact, and make connections that get you to a source that can very directly answer your questions. And then you can always come back and say, to myself and others that I'll introduce you to, or your members to, and say, well, that was useless. I didn't get anything out of it. Well, why? Maybe we need to direct you to a new person, or maybe it was useful. And we can give you additional guidance and support. So I hope that begins to answer that question. It's a complex question for us. We're still trying to break it down, but that's why whenever I hear someone say that, I challenge them to give me as much specificity as they can so that I can better understand what that barrier is and how we mitigate it or eliminate it.
Great, fantastic. Okay, guys, so any other questions from anyone else on the line? Now's your chance to ask it. John Joshua said that he would leave us his contact information, so we'll get that. But any other questions from anyone else on the line? So our goal was to demystify this process, and then it'd be your decision to decide whether or not you want to pursue it. But I tell you, I've listened to a lot of presentations, and John, you've done an outstanding job today. I thank you again on behalf of our membership, and also thank Laura for making this happen. And I believe that there will be some members from our organization doing business with MD Anderson in the not too distant future. So we thank you very much for that, and then we look forward to getting your information.
Yep, you'll get that. I'll get it to Laura today.
All right. Thank you very much. If there's nothing else from anyone, Devin, I'll turn it back over to you and Carrie, and you guys can wrap us up.
Well, thank you so much, Ed. And thank you so much, John, for putting this together, and Laura De La Rosa with MD Anderson. This has been an outstanding presentation. Gosh, so much information. I really hope that everyone on this call got some good takeaways and is ready to do business with MD Anderson. So you can now find this presentation on our YouTube channel if you want to reference it or share it with your colleagues. John is also going to share his presentation with me too. So I'll send you guys a follow-up email with this presentation. It says all the information tied into it. Our next How to Do Business With, looks like it's going to be June 30th with Metro. So stay tuned for more information with that one. And you guys have a great weekend. Have a wonderful rest of the week. It's Thursday, guys.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, MD Anderson, John, and Laura. Thank you so much for doing this for us. This is wonderful.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. I'll reach out to you later, John.